Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive. Welcome to our show. Today we're featuring a special feature called the IRS and You. If you owe taxes and you haven't paid them, we have guests on our program that will show you how to deal effectively and solve your tax problems. Stay tuned.
I chose not to pay taxes.
Our average client has 4 to 11 years of unfiled tax returns.
I received a letter from the IRS saying that I owe $32,000.
The IRS is a very special creditor. They can take anything that you own now or acquire in the future when you have tax trouble.
Every day I turned around looking to see if my truck was still in the driveway.
There's a solution to every problem. It may not be the solution that you want to hear, but there's a solution to everybody's problem.
This is a special show. We feature people who can help you with your taxes if you haven't paid them, and my special guest on this IRS and You program is Mike Rosbrook. He's with the company, he owns it. It's called Tax Resolution Services.
Yes.
And he has a website. Would you give that out?
Yes, taxresolution.com.
Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, you have fabulous stories about people who have been in problems with the IRS, and let's face it, everybody has a problem with the IRS. Even if you're paying your taxes, you get a problem with it because you don't want to be paying them, right?
That's right.
So you're kind of like, I would like to call you an emergency doctor, if you will, for the people who haven't paid their taxes, who keep throwing those letters from the IRS into the trash until they show up at their door, right?
Correct. We're an emergency room for tax problems, exactly.
What are the common problems that people have not paying their tax? When did they come to you?
Well, our typical client, our average client, has 4 to 11 years of unfiled tax returns. So a majority of our clients are non-filers to begin with, who are now scared because they haven't filed so long.
There's a lot of people who are watching this show today, okay, who are going to say, you know, I'm special, my case is different. No, it's not. I want to emphasize, you said their typical client is 4 to 11 years they haven't paid their taxes, and they think they're in so deep.
Yep.
There's no hope for them, right?
Correct.
So why do they come to you?
They usually come to me because they've received a notice, certified notice, or they've received a knock on the door by the IRS who leaves their card if they're not home, or they actually have a conversation.
And what does the letter usually say if you got a letter?
It says, final notice, intend to seize all your assets, wages, and bank accounts.
And they will do that, won't they?
Absolutely, without blinking an eye.
Even the house you live in, correct?
They can take everything. The IRS is a very special creditor. They can take anything that you own now or acquire in the future when you have tax trouble.
So let's say you have examples, and we're going to have them on this show. $175,000, you had someone who owed the IRS.
Yes,
correct?
offer and compromise.
Offer, and define that. What is that? You hear a lot about it.
Offer and compromise is the closest thing to amnesty that the federal government offers. It's very close to what bankruptcy is for unsecured credit card debt, is what an offer and compromise is for taxes.
Okay.
It's a formulaic-driven process where the government looks at your present-day net equity and assets and your monthly disposable income. They come up with a formula and they determine what you can pay now in full to settle your tax debt.
But these people, they don't have the money to pay in full. So what usually happens?
Well, what usually happens is these settlements are 10 to 13 cents on the dollar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why they can afford to pay the settlement if they're qualified and if they fit into the formula.
But what if you're unemployed and you used to make a lot of money? Okay, you have cases like that.
Yes.
So doesn't the IRS say, well, you know, maybe sometime in the near future you're going to be making a lot of money, so we don't want to settle for 10 or 13 cents on the dollar?
Good question. Usually if you're unemployed, they'll just kick the offer back. They won't process it because they're going to wait for you to become gainfully employed. However, sometimes they have you sign what's called a collateral agreement, where they'll settle for a low amount now, but based on what you've done in the past, you will have to give them a percentage of your income over a certain dollar amount for the next 5 years.
So describe a typical person who comes to you. Are they scared out of their wits?
Yeah, typical person is a good person that a bad life-altering event happened. Example, divorce, nasty custody battle, loss of a job, a spouse deathly sick or ill, or even dying.
Right.
What they do is they go to their payroll department, change their W-4, claim 9 exemptions or go exempt altogether, so they get enough cash in their check to pay the divorce attorney, etc.
Right.
And they're behind the 8 ball when it comes to file that return in April.
Let's give out your website address. What is it?
The website is it's www.taxresolution.com.
And you have an 800 number, don't you?
Yeah, we have a toll-free number, 866-IRS-PROBLEMS. That's 866-IRS-PROBLEMS.
That's pretty easy to remember.
Yes.
Because the only reason they're going to be calling you is you got an IRS problem,
That's right.
When people call you up, does it cost any money to come in and see you?
No, we offer a free confidential consultation.
Okay.
Because we don't know what we're going to do. So, I mean, what I do is I invest the time with each client, usually up to an hour.
Yes.
And if we can help them, fine. If we can't, we tell them that too.
Typically, the cost for you helping anybody is how much money? You know, ballpark.
Ballpark, you're probably talking about $5,000.
And I understand, we've done a lot of interviews before, and I understand you charge a flat fee.
It's a flat fee, correct.
So it's not like, give me a retainer and I'm going to charge you more money, because you are a CPA, are you not?
Correct, I'm a CPA.
You're not a lawyer, but
No.
you're a CPA.
Yeah, but we do have 5 lawyers on staff.
On staff?
Yes.
Okay, good. When the IRS sees you walking down the aisle representing someone, they give you, what was it again?
Grudgingly respect.
Grudging respect, because they know you know their rules, right?
Exactly. We hold their feet to the fire.
There's another thing that I think a lot of people are not aware of is this. When a decision is made at the lower level, okay, you make an offer and a compromise is rejected or whatever, you will appeal that sometimes,
Oh,
won't you?
absolutely.
Because the higher level is much more lenient, isn't it?
Yeah, put it this way, 70% of our cases go to the higher level. I even include that in the retainer.
So in other words, an offer and compromise, they come back and it's too much money, you take it to the higher level.
Right, they're trained at the lower level
To say no.
to say no.
Just say no.
Correct.
Is that what the IRS says
Just
all the
say
time?
no.
Okay, good. Let's talk about guys facing financial disasters. Can he go bankrupt? Can he get rid, discharge his taxes?
Absolutely. The rule is 3 simple rules. 3 years from the due date of the return.
Yes.
The return has to be physically filed 2 years prior to the bankruptcy petition date.
Okay.
And you have to wait 240 days or 8 months from the last assessment date.
A lot of people watching this show are small business people.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And you say, oh, yes, you have a lot of people come to you about
941, payroll taxes.
payroll taxes. They thought they had an independent contractor, but actually they were an employee.
Correct.
And now they have to pay money on this person.
Yes.
And that's a big problem.
It's usually the kiss of death. When
Really?
a small company owes payroll taxes, it's usually the kiss of death. The reason is after 16 days of being late with either a payroll tax filing
Yeah.
or failing to make the federal tax deposit, the penalty and interest is 33% of the principal. And it continues to spiral up. So you could owe 2 to 3 times as much than you started with within a very relatively short period of time.
How do you help a small business owner who's got this problem right now?
What we do is we go in, we register the power of attorney immediately, we
Yes.
go to the IRS with a game plan, and we tell them what we're going to do to resolve the account.
There is a common misbelief, I think, that some people feel if they didn't pay taxes 20 years ago on money they earned, then they are past the statute of limitations. Is that true?
No, not really. The statute of limitations on the IRS going back to audit you, if you haven't filed a return, the statute is open. So if they have something on you from 20 years ago and they're deciding this year they want to visit you and talk to you, they're well within their right. If you file the return and 3 years have passed, you're usually home free, except if they determine there was fraud or some criminal action,
Right.
then they can open up the statute.
You have helped many, many clients. In fact, without identifying their names on your website, if you go to taxresolution.com, you can actually, there's a spot that says
Success
rate.
Correct.
And you have people identified by file number.
Correct.
And these aren't just fictitious numbers. These
Oh,
are
no.
actual people's cases that are actually phenomenal.
Yes.
And fortunately, you have helped people so much that we've had people volunteer. Some of your clients come forward and are going to be on this show today.
Correct.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce your first client who appeared here voluntarily. And I want the audience to know this is not an actor. You'll tell they're not an actor. We don't have to pay SAG fees for them, okay? But the bottom line is you're going to listen to their story. So we're going to bring them on right now. My first guest, who is Mike's client, and you're going to see a lot of these people on our show because remember, these are real people. They're not actors. Dave Lopez, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Dave, you have quite a story. 10 years not paying taxes?
10 years.
I want to emphasize you're current right now, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Everything is squared away because you went to Mike, right?
Yes.
Here's a question I want to ask you. What prompted you to contact him in the first place? Because you hadn't filed taxes for 10 years. Did you think you were free and clear?
Absolutely not. I decided just through my own conscience that I need to get it resolved because it was going to come back on me.
Were you frightened, though?
Absolutely. Every day I turned around looking to see if my truck was still in the driveway.
Were you receiving letters from the IRS?
Every day.
And what were you doing in those letters?
Not even opening them because you're afraid
throwing them away, right?
No, throwing them away, or you're afraid of the information that's what's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So you know, every day you turn around, you're looking around your shoulders, or you're waiting for a levy, or something to that extent.
Yeah.
That they're going to be taking your paycheck away.
I want to emphasize that because, Mike, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
The common denominator with everybody who owes money to the IRS is
Fear.
paralysis. You know, they don't want to open the envelope. They don't want to know. But what happens is the IRS is not going away. You owed $175,000.
Over many years, yes.
You went to Mike. What did Mike do for you?
Explained to him my situation and got a very good feeling the first 5 minutes. Mike said he'll do the best he can, and we've arranged a payment arrangement. Did everything he told me to do, and a few years later we were able to resolve at a reasonable rate, and here I am.
I would like you to tell the audience what that reasonable rate was because you owed $175,000.
Got it down to 27.
$27,000. It's unbelievable. That means you saved $150,000. What did you have to pay Mike to do this?
I don't really recall offhand.
Flat fee, right?
A flat fee. He gave me a flat fee, and he stuck to it to the T, even though it was a little bit more work than we thought it was going to be.
Fantastic. Well, listen, you in compliance right now?
Absolutely.
You're on camera, you know.
That's why he's in
Yeah,
compliance.
and the most important thing is I'm glad you did what you did, and that's why we have this show, because we have real people. You're not an actor. Nobody's paying you, are they?
Nope.
You're a person that came forward because Mike really helped you out a lot, and that's the important thing.
Gone past what I've needed.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Sounds good.
And pay your taxes.
Thanks, Michael.
Now, Mike, Dave was not a unique case, was he?
Not at all.
And $175,000 down to $27,000. Wow.
Yeah, it was a very good settlement. Very good.
Did that have to go to the appeal process?
That one did go to appeal, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did they initially want from him?
Well, collection at the first level, they said that they wouldn't even take an offer.
Really?
They thought that he could pay, I think it was $300,000 or $400,000, well above the amount that he even owed.
No kidding.
So, no, I'm not kidding. So we appealed that decision, went to appeal, and appeals first wanted somewhere around $100,000, if I recall, and we just chipped away at it based on their rules, their regulations,
Right.
and convinced them that our taxpayer couldn't pay more than what he actually ended up paying.
Here's a question for you. How long did that process take?
The entire process from remember, we had to get all the returns filed. His process probably took about 2 years from beginning to end.
And during the time while you are engaging the IRS, can they come after him or attach anything from him?
No, we protect. One of the things we put in writing in our retainer agreements is levy protection.
During the time that you're negotiating with the IRS?
During the time we're retained, yes.
Okay. I'm going to bring out another one of your clients. Again, not an actor, because you did some fabulous work with him.
Yes.
And they're going to be here just in a minute, so we'll be right here. My next guest is another client of Mike's. His name is Rob Foley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And you're probably pretty glad to be sitting here today. I know you came here voluntarily. He's not an actor. You are a person that really had a big tax problem, right?
Yes, I did.
Tell us what your tax problem was.
Okay, I went to a tax preparer who I later found out through newspaper articles that they were incorrectly preparing tax returns. And I'd received a letter from the IRS saying that I owed $32,000.
So you were following the rules, had your taxes done properly, only to find out that the people who were doing your taxes were like illegitimate.
Correct.
Wow.
And I had no idea. Never done my taxes before on my own. And
Now, so you read a newspaper article, and you're the guy that took the initiative to say, hey, I need to do something about that, right?
I knew something was going on when I got a coupon book that said, "This are your payments for the IRS."
From the IRS.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so then I got a letter from the IRS saying that they reassessed what I owed, and it was going to be $32,000.
And what was it before then? What had you thought the taxes were before then?
Oh, I thought I was free and clear, actually.
Free and clear.
Actually, did you get a refund?
Yeah, I'd actually gotten a refund.
So you went to Mike. How'd you find out about Mike?
On the radio, actually,
Yeah?
on the Bill Handel show.
Okay, and what did Mike do for you?
They got me an offer and compromise settlement for $4,800.
How long did this process take for you from knocking it down to $4,000?
You know what? I hired Tax Resolution Services back in July of 2005.
Yeah.
And my settlement was finally done in December of 2006.
Wow, so about a year.
Yeah, a year and a half.
And I want to emphasize one thing. You're here voluntarily today. You're not an actor. You're here voluntarily because Mike did a terrific job for
Yes,
you, right?
I feel like I owe him.
He's the real thing. He's the real thing.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you very much and keep up the good work and stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
Mike, Rob's an unusual case. He was following the rules.
Yes.
Do you run into a lot of people like that?
Yeah, where these illegitimate tax preparers get by is because the client is signing the return. They're responsible for the numbers on the return because they're signing on the penalties of perjury.
Sometimes they don't understand them.
Exactly. But we actually are seeing this more and more now, especially here in Southern California. There's a lot of shops that have been busted by the IRS for this fraudulent tax preparation.
So their goal is, like, what did he pay them?
He paid them a lot of money. It's a percentage of the refund that they promised him. That's how they make their money.
Really?
They didn't just do
So they
it.
take the money right then and there, kind of.
Yeah, he has to pay. Usually they charge probably $800 a return, whereas if you went to H&R Block and had it done right, it would be a couple $100.
How can you find out whether someone's legit or not? I mean, this is a lesson to be learned from Rob's case. How can you find that out?
Well, it's very difficult. Number one is, though, I would Google anyone that you're thinking about hiring, because usually there are newspaper articles or there may be a Department of Justice investigation if it's made public. And then contact the State Board of Enrolled Agents or the State Board of Public Accountancy.
So there is a State Board of Enrolled Agents.
There is
everybody that prepares a tax return for people as a commercial business have to be enrolled in that?
No. As a matter of fact, President Bush has a law right now in front of Congress to make that law. Anyone can prepare a tax return today. Anybody. And that's the problem. They don't go through a certification process.
Seems like, well, you did a great job with him, and we're going to bring on one more of your clients, and they've come here voluntarily. You know, I want to emphasize this again. They're not actors. They've come here voluntarily, and you've got miraculous stories for them, and it's due to your diligence and your persistence, and you know in the IRS code. How do you know all that code?
Well, it's the collection part of the code.
The collection part.
It's just the collection.
Okay.
They don't teach this in college. They don't teach it in school.
All right, good. We'll bring on your next client. My next guest, Larry Gonzalez.
Hello, sir.
I understand you are a satisfied client of Mike's. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about, and emphasize again, you are not an actor, are you?
No.
Okay, you're a guy that had a problem with the IRS, right?
Major problem.
And your problem was what? What happened?
I owned several businesses, and my other half wasn't taking care of
Your ex-wife?
Yes, was not taking care of the responsibilities.
Yeah, and apparently she wasn't paying the taxes, right?
This is true.
So what happened? Was the IRS came out to your house? How'd you find out about all this?
I believe it was through letters and then phone calls. And then,
but I understand those letters were hidden someplace.
I believe they were hidden in the garage.
Okay, and how'd you find them?
After she left.
Okay, all right. It's kind of like bad news, right?
Good and bad.
Right. Now, you owed somewhere in the ballpark of, what, $50,000?
Right around there.
And what prompted you to call Mike? How'd you find out about
Actually, I heard Michael on a radio station, his commercials, and I just liked what they had to say, so I called him up, made the appointment, we had the consultation, and the rest is history.
Want to emphasize the consultation was free?
Absolutely.
Correct? Yes. What did you end up paying? What did Mike do for you exactly? You owed $50,000, kind of wasn't your fault, but you're still responsible for it. What did he do with the IRS for you?
He got them off my back.
Okay.
And I was able to sleep at night.
Okay. And what did you end up paying?
I believe we settled pennies on the dollar for about anywhere between the neighborhood of $9,000 to $12,000.
9 out of 50,000.
Yes.
Okay. And you paid a flat fee for that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you are here today because you are one happy camper in that regard, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mike does things, doesn't he?
He's a god.
Okay, how long did it take, by the way? We don't want to blow him up too much there. But anyway, how long did it take to do this?
I think the actual process from beginning to end was about a little over a year.
Okay, good. You know, I welcome you to be on this show, and I'll tell you why. You know, a lot of shows you'll see actors on there, you know, talking some BS or whatever. You're the real thing.
Absolutely.
You're here voluntarily, nobody paid you, and Mike did wonderful things for you, and I want to thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, you're welcome.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And
Michael,
Mary Wellness.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
You're welcome.
Mike, it often happens that people like Larry, you know, are kind of victims. They're
Yeah.
innocent spouses, okay? Can be male, can be female.
Sure.
Someone's not towing the road. They're not paying the responsibility. In this particular case, his wife wasn't paying the bills, wasn't paying the taxes, and that sort of thing. When you go to the IRS, what can you do for people like this?
Well, in his case, we did an offer in compromise based on his financial condition.
Okay.
However, if we can show that the innocent spouse had no knowledge that taxes were owed,
Yes.
Had separate bank accounts, basically was separate from a financial standpoint from the liable spouse.
They don't know anything.
Right. And then
Is
we
that
can,
right?
Yes, we can get them. We can get them off the hook.
Because I've heard or read that legislation has been passed, you know, recently where
Yes.
it protects innocent spouses.
Yes.
But you have to have separate bank accounts.
There is a lot of common law tests that have to be made before
Right.
the IRS will grant innocent spouse
Kind
relief.
of showing that you're not aware of what the other person was doing.
Correct. Or
Okay.
should you have had knowledge? That's another one.
Should you have had knowledge? That's kind of a big hurdle to jump, isn't
It
it?
is, except that if it's a female innocent spouse,
Yeah.
if that person went to college and that person took courses in finance or accounting or business law, it's very difficult to make that argument because she should have known.
I have one more of your clients that volunteered to come here because they think highly of you. Like he said, you know, you're God to him. You took. The most important thing is we're talking about money here, but we're also talking about peace of mind.
And health.
Health, because stress kills.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I want to emphasize, the IRS, you know this, does not go away.
Right.
They're your friend for life. Mm-hmm. And they're one of the few organizations that will be your friend after you're gone, too.
That's right.
Collecting money, and they do, don't they?
They are the most brutal collection agency on the planet when they think you have their money.
Is that the way they look at it?
That's the way I
All
look
right,
at
good.
it.
Well, let's bring out our next guest here because he's got some good things to say about some things you did for him. My next guest is Matt Cinquanta.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're here voluntarily, aren't you?
Yes.
And you're here because Mike Rosbrook helped you with your tax problem, right?
Yes, he did.
And you thought so much of it that you wanted to tell the world about it. Tell us what your problem was.
Well, my problem, it was personal because I chose not to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And it just, to me,
So you're one of those
I
people
was
that
tired
said,
of doing
"The hell
it,
with
and-
Uncle Sam."
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it was a bad choice.
I can understand
bad
that.
idea.
Yeah, you know. Yep.
None of us want to pay.
It's, you know, it was a choice I made, but
Okay.
you know, and I was always my earnings were based on 1099 basis all the time, and
How'd they catch up
you
with you?
know, well, I stopped filing in 1999,
Right.
and then I was anticipating the problem. I think I went all the way to 2003 without hearing a word from them. Maybe a letter here and there would come in.
That's typical.
you know,
And the letter would say, "Hey, where are you? Welcome to
you're
the
late.
party."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're late. Little reminder here. You got
Yeah.
late fees and interest that's accruing. You need to pay. That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And then the big letter came.
Yeah, and I wasn't aware of the big letter, but I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a couple of friends that I was working with at the time that had met Michael, and he settled their cases outstandingly. And
So you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
They hadn't sent a letter for a lien or a levy or any garnishment or
No,
anything like that yet.
No. And so I went and saw Michael, and I told him my situation. He said, "Okay, well, when you get the letter, call me."
Right.
And I got the letter.
Yeah.
He said, "You'll know it when you see it."
Red, white, and blue.
Yeah. It was,
We
yeah.
want your money.
Right. And
Now,
I
the thing I
decided
want
it
to the thing I
was.
want to emphasize here is you, like many other clients, have gone to him, and you're kind of reluctant to talk to him because you know, you could be an IRS agent, right? Bottom line is you're speaking to him in confidentiality, aren't you?
Yeah.
You felt comfortable with him, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And what did he do for you?
Well, he saved me. I mean, that's
You owed
that's
you
the
owed
bottom line.
$38,000.
$38,000, and
When did you end up paying?
I didn't have that kind of money.
Right.
Obviously, I ended up paying $1,500.
That is
So
great.
it was
38,000 to 1,500.
Right.
Wow. And it's done. It's final. It's over.
Yes.
Now you filing your taxes on time and everything.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that? I want to emphasize that's
yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is his instructions that he gives. I followed them to a T.
Good.
And it turned out so favorably, more favorably than I had expected.
Well, I want to emphasize a lot of people like you that haven't paid taxes are worried. You know, what's going to happen to me? Don't delay. Go see Mike.
There's
right?
help. There's help.
right.
There's
Well,
help, and it works. It works.
That's the
you
main
will
thing.
not end up paying the full amount of money. That's for a fact.
That's right.
And they'll work with you because they have to work with you, right?
Right.
Good.
And the important thing to me that I would want to say is that just to create an awareness that there is help out there.
Okay.
Because there's several people that are probably in my boat that aren't aware of it, and they navigate their own way, and
Right.
they lose everything. Who knows?
Very good. I want to thank you for
There's help
being
out
on
there.
the show.
Yeah, thank you.
And
All right.
real pleasure meeting you.
You also.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Mike, we've just had 4 of your clients who came here voluntarily. You know, nobody paid them to come here. I mean, come on. It's a hot day in the valley, and they've got better things to do. It's a weekend. They came here voluntarily because they think highly of you because you've helped them out. One was an innocent spouse. One was a guy that just forgot about paying taxes. He didn't want to pay it. But for the majority of people out there who haven't paid their taxes, I think the lesson to be learned is there is hope, isn't it?
There's a solution to every problem.
Exactly.
I am convinced that it may not be the solution that you want to hear,
Yeah.
but there's a solution to everybody's problem.
The interesting thing is, you're right, there's a solution to all problems. What you do is you involve them, through you, in the solution
Correct.
so they get a better result.
Correct.
Because the IRS can solve your problem right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they can seize everything you have, and then at that point in time, there's very little you can do, right?
Yep.
You know, after they have your assets, you can't get it back. It's
Correct.
pretty
If
hard.
they seize your house or car or property, it's very difficult to get
I want to
back.
give out your website address again.
Okay.
What is it again?
Website is www.taxresolution.com.
Okay.
That's taxresolution.com.
And on there you have success stories of other examples, many more examples of people that you've done wonderful work for, saved them a ton of money, and mainly gave them peace of mind, right?
Yes.
What is your direct telephone number where they can call? They can call 24/7?
They can call 24/7.
What's the phone number?
Toll-free number is 866-IRS-PROBLEMS. That's 866-IRS-PROBLEMS.
And roughly within what time frame will you get back to anybody that calls?
We usually get back within 24 hours.
Well, there you've got it. It's Mike Rosebrook, and he has got tax resolution services, and this is a great company to call because they actually do solve your tax problems. That's
Yes.
what you're all about.
Yep.
I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Steve.
We're going to have you
Pleasure.
back again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our show. We'll be back next week, and you can watch more of our shows at www.insiderexclusive.com. Thanks again.